What is up, my beautiful people? My name is G-Vance and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the new album by Don Toliver entitled Heaven or Hell. This, I believe, is Don Toliver's official debut studio album, which comes to us about 2 months after the Jack Boys collab project with Travis Scott and Sheck West that unexpectedly dropped at the end of the year in 2019. But this is also a follow-up to Don Toliver's 2018 mixtape entitled Donny Womack, which I personally didn't hear that mixtape because I didn't know who Don Toliver was at the time. But honestly, after hearing the promising potential that Don Toliver had in the Jack Boys collab project, I gotta admit, this man like really impressed the fuck out of me. I went into the Jack Boys collab project just knowing who Travis Scott was. I obviously knew who Sheck West was because that dude blew up out of nowhere with that song Mo Bamba. But Travis Scott was like the only artist out of Don Toliver and Sheck West that I've listened to like full albums to. And Don Toliver was somebody that I just didn't fucking know. So, like I just didn't know what my overall reaction was going to be for the Jack Boys collab project. But, like honestly, when I think back of that album, first of all, it's probably my favorite collab project that ever came out last year. And second of all, the biggest highlight for me for that album was definitely Don Toliver, because that dude just surprised and shocked the fuck out of me. I still do not know what to say about Don Toliver. And I guess it does help to mention that Don Toliver did have a big contribution to 2018's Astroworld. I think he helped produce a few of the tracks, and I think he just helped like produce the whole album in general. I don't know which tracks he had like more like creative freedom on when it comes to the production value of it, but I'm sure it is just as great as the production value that he's done in like past albums that he's done. And honestly, for this being the first ever album by Travis Scott that I like fully listened to and gave like my full attention to, I gotta say that Don Toliver might be my favorite new artist of 2020. It really does change for me every year. 2017, my favorite new artist was Jordan Lucas. 2018, my favorite new artist was Rich Brian. Last year, my favorite new artist was YBN Cordae. And now 2020, my favorite new artist is probably Don Toliver. And honestly, I think it is rightfully so, because this album just took me on a fucking journey, man. Like I still can't get over with how this album turned out. Don Toliver's production skills are honestly pretty damn impressive on this album. I really love how he's able to just add this whole like new little twist and just a new sound to the whole like trap vibe that we have in hip hop. He really does make trap music sound like really enjoyable and just like really like makes you vibe to it. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't like trap music. I've said that probably a million fucking times now, but like it's just true. And I just can't believe that Don Toliver is like low-key turning me into like a trap fan. I'm not gonna lie, at the end of this album I was like, I want to hear like a bunch of trap shit now. Like it's fucking crazy. I really loved how diverse his album was when it came to the production value, because there are some songs that sound like a sort of like nightclub banger, like kind of makes you feel that you're in the club just vibing with the boys, partying with the boys, like just going crazy, starting fucking mosh pits and shit like that. And then there are some songs that like take it like a lot more chill, a lot more slow, pretty sad if you listen to the lyrics to some of those songs. And at the same time, I feel like Don Toliver like stayed true to his sort of like trap style that he was like going for this whole album. It sort of feels that he created his own sort of like trap genre, if that makes sense. I really loved how Don Toliver was sort of like switching back and forth from his singing to his rapping skills, because first of all, when he rapped, he fucking like had that sort of aggressive sort of party animal, just like really hardcore like rapping voice that I personally didn't expect, because I don't recall hearing any of like those like rapping skills back in the Jack Boys project. And then out of nowhere, he can go from his sort of like chill like sort of like singing voice, which by the way, his vocals are pretty fucking decent. I really love his natural voice. I really love how his like voice goes with every song on this album. And even though I was never really a big fan of the whole auto-tune when it comes to rap albums, I actually don't mind when Don Toliver does sing in auto-tune in this album, because even with or without it, he sounds just as great, and at the same time it goes really well with the overall style he was going for the album. Like just everything about Don Toliver's voice and just skills in general, it was a really big highlight for me in this album. And of course, there are a few features on this album. Like for example, he teams up up with this person that I've never even heard of called Cash Page. She shows up on a song called Euphoria, which that one might be my favorite song on this album, because just, just hearing Cash Page for the first time, her vocals are really, really fucking good. I never heard of this chick, but she is really, really fucking good. And just like her vocals and Don Toliver's vocals work so well together, kind of sounds like it's sort of like soulful, like they just sound like fucking angels on this one song. It's honestly like a really like cool sort of like R&B mixed with trap, which I honestly like never thought they'd work well together. But the way Don Toliver and Catch Page like made it work out, it's honestly really, really fucking good. And of course, Quavo and Offset making an appearance on this album on a song called Had Enough, which was my favorite track from the Jack Boys album, because I just really love how well Quavo's like vocals went with Don Toliver on the song. Offset is just fucking phenomenal as usual. And again, I will clarify that this is the only time you will ever hear me say Quavo and good in the same sentence, because I am not a big fan of Quavo. I think out of all of them in the Migos, I think Quavo is the most obnoxious. I do not like Quavo whatsoever, but this song just like showed me how good Quavo can be and the potential that Quavo can have if he like actually gave a fuck and took it seriously. So yeah, I really, really still love Had Enough. Hearing it for the second time was just as great as I heard it from the first time. And of course, you gotta have Travis Scott and Sheck West appear at least once in this album. Travis Scott appears on that song that I talked about earlier called Euphoria, which Travis Scott's like singing voice never fails to impress me. It is a really, really good fucking song with Travis Scott in it. And Sheck West appears on a song entitled Spaceship, which that one is just fucking crazy. Sheck West and Don Toliver teaming up together to do a fucking like aggressive sort of like dumb hype trap vibe, like that song is just fucking crazy. It's a fucking dumb hype banger that I will like listen to when I'm about to work out, like just to get me in the fucking mood. I honestly really love Spaceship a lot. But although that Travis Scott and Sheck West do make an appearance on this album, I honestly gotta say that just like the Jack Boys album, Don Toliver is a big ass highlight for me in this album. I think Don Toliver truly stepped out of their shadows. I think Don Toliver truly like stepped it up in general. He really showed his potential. He really impressed the fuck out of me. And in my opinion, I think he probably dropped one of the best trap albums to ever come out this year so far. Overall, I highly recommend this album to each and every one of you, whether you're a trap fan or not, whether you're a hip-hop fan or not. I think this album is something that anyone can enjoy. It's just the right album to vibe to. And in my opinion, it's the one album that you just have to hear at least once, because it is a really, really dope album, a true fucking masterpiece in my opinion. And with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell down below, all that good stuff so you don't miss a single one of my uploads whatsoever. And don't forget to stay happy.
Sleep alone by my phone all the time. Check my phone, already knowing this drive. Fake friends.